Victoria Carter, welcome inside the Crazy Ant Farm. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, we are living the dream as always, and we are super excited to talk to you. We are huge fans of the show, and we are going to talk all about the show. We're so excited about that. I've got some theories. I've got some stuff. I mean, I think everybody out there does, but the finale. Whew, got to talk about that finale. But yeah, we are pumped. You are just an amazing young actress, and you're just getting it done. So we were so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you. I just know our listeners are going to love this interview. How we normally like to start this bad boy off is to talk about how you kind of got started in the industry. Doing our research a little bit, I think it was music is where you were initially headed, and then somehow we got over to acting, which we're glad you did. But I'm guessing you haven't abandoned music and dancing yet, though. But talk about it. So how did it all go? How'd the path get started?
Ooh, y'all. So in the beginning, all right.
I love in the beginning. I love it.
But in the beginning, I wanted to be a Beyonce. Okay, I was gonna be Beyonce. And that's what I had in mind. And so I started actually taking vocal lessons with my vocal coach still, Victoria Wilson. And, I was just getting into it. So, and this is a lot, everybody, it's so surprised when I say this, but I was very shy when I was younger. Um, so she had suggested that I take, acting lessons just to help, my stage presence. Because she was like, acting and singing go hand in hand. That's performance. And so she actually introduced me to Rob Demery at Red Light Arts. And so I started taking acting lessons with him first. And that was strictly just to get me out of that shy, timid stage of my career. Because she was just trying to, get me out of that. And so when I started actually taking acting lessons with him, I don't know what happened, but I felt like I was supposed to be there. I don't know. Like, I felt like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I never thought about acting. I really didn't. Like, I don't know why. Because I always grew up with my dad. He always played like Michael Jackson and everybody. So I grew up with music. That's what I grew up with. And so I never thought about, I can actually be an actor. But I never thought about that. So when she suggested that and I started going to Rob Demery, that's when I fell in love with acting. I literally did. I felt like I belonged because I was always that kid. Even though I was shy when I was younger, I was very, as people will say, I was extra loud. And it's because I had so much, I guess you would say, like, personality inside of me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put it somewhere. And so acting gave me that avenue to do that.
For sure.
Ever since then, I've been trucking at it. So
I love that, though. I mean, we all need, as human beings, like, take away the career part, take away the acting, the lights, the glamour, all the fun stuff, take all that stuff away. And you want to grow as an individual, right? You want to grow as a person to be more comfortable in your own skin and be able to talk to somebody if, a conversation strikes up. That's kind of what happened with me too, because I wasn't necessarily a really shy person. I was just like, not really wanting to talk to people, or at least not knowing how to first beginning to talk to people. And when we started this podcast about 6 or 7 years ago, he'll tell you he was the only one that would talk during the interview.
It's true.
And now working up to where we are now, I feel like I'm able to strike up a conversation with anyone. So that's awesome to hear because we also talk a lot about mental health and that type of thing. And I know that stuff can go hand in hand with like anxiety and that type of different stuff. So to be able to get out of your shell and to be able to become this lively, bubbly person that you are now today, I mean, it's awesome. So kudos to you for being able to take that step and be able to continue moving forward. And I know it's always an interesting experience too in these acting classes because you have so many different people sometimes that are right next to you trying to do the same thing or around like the same monologue and stuff like that. So I mean, you might not know the answer to this, but I'm just always curious. From your first acting class, how many people do you think are still doing it? Because, a lot of people get into it and then kind of just fall off. So on average, how many do you think are still doing it?
That's a good question.
Right?
I'll know that I know some people who I, came across with haven't, sometimes they don't continue, because some people do acting. Like for me personally, when I first started, there was a lot of people who started with me that were pursuing acting. It was more like I was saying, like they were just trying to break out of being able to speak in front of people, or because that it's really actually, you know, acting classes. It's kind of, it's therapeutic, honestly.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt.
Because it challenges you in that way, and so I don't necessarily have the answer to that,
of course,
but I know that probably some people, you know, just, you know, stopped doing it or just didn't continue having that passion just because, you know, it's a very, I don't want to say tough industry, but it can be hard.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because, you know, with all the no's and stuff that you get, that can discourage people to not continue to keep going.
Yeah, we like to say that it's an industry full of selection and not rejection.
Yeah.
Because one of our past guests on the show, he actually said, think about a casting director as someone who goes out and tries to buy a car. You know, they're looking for a specific make, a specific model, or at least somewhere around that. And maybe they're looking for a Cadillac. And today you're like a Honda. Okay, they just don't want the Honda right now.
That's right.
They'll just stick with the Cadillac. So it's kind of interesting to see how different people think about the industry, because, you know, staying positive and keeping yourself motivated is such a big thing.
Well, and there's a lot of people in it for the wrong reasons. I feel like a lot of people that get into it and you don't see continue, they want to be rich and famous. They don't want to act. They want to be a celebrity. And there's a huge difference. This industry is tough, and you have to have thick skin. And if you're just in it because you want to be a celebrity and you want to be rich and famous, you're not going to last long, because people built like that don't typically do well with critique or criticism or no's. They're like, wait a minute, I'm a star. You can't tell me I'm not good. You know, so
see this shit.
Yeah. Did you see my audition? It's like, we did, and no. But so I feel like that, you know, a lot of people get into it for that type of a reason and then realize, okay, it's just not going to happen for me. And we've always, because we're in the industry, we're filmmakers ourselves, and we've always been people who feel like you just got to be upfront and honest with people like that and be like, this is not going to happen for you. It's not good for anybody if you lead them along trying to have them go after something you know is not going to happen. We always try to say, it doesn't mean you can't live the dream. It doesn't mean you can't be in the industry. Let's focus on an area where you can still get it done, and but this particular path won't work. And I you know, so we always kind of take that approach to it, because I just feel like leading anybody the wrong direction and prolonging the agony of something not working out, not so good for the mental health, right? You, on the other hand, that would not be an issue, because like I said, you are phenomenal. I was just literally blown away with when I saw you. First of all, the way you're playing against Mark Paul is just incredible. Okay, let's jump into Found, because man, Found, there's so much to find with Found. And then so we have the great pleasure of knowing Shanola. We got to meet her several years back on the red carpet at America 2.0, and she's just a gem. We love her to death. She was actually a guest on this very show a couple years ago, and we just love her. And one of the things that immediately struck out to me is how you were able to adapt. It's believable that you are a young Gabby. The mannerisms and the way that you picked up on how Shanola acts, it was phenomenal. I'm like, I'm totally looking at a young Shanola, and I don't even know a young Shanola, but you can see that. So talk about the approach a little bit about that, because we don't see you guys at the same time, right? You're more playing off of Mark Paul, but you had to learn. You had to be like, okay, I'm her young. And talk about your approach, because I'm assuming old Gabby has changed a lot because she's gone through a lot. So while you guys are very similar, you're also very different. Did you guys discuss things like that? Did you did you talk about how you were going to approach the characters, or did you just go completely separate and say, I'm going to do this and you're going to do this and we'll see how it works?
Actually, we didn't never sat down and talk, but what they did do was they would show me different, like, I guess, like, when directing, like, okay, this is how kind of, like, even the transitions and everything, to try to give me an idea of how Shanola is doing things.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because, again, we never, even on set, it was it was a rare instance if we ever crossed paths. Even though we did sometimes, like maybe she was in a trailer or something like that or whatever, but it was very rare. So what was the interesting part was taking that information and ultimately being a younger Gabby, like the younger Gabby. And so that was fun in itself because it was an honor, absolute honor to play Shanola Hampton as but like I would say even this, like even knowing her as a person kind of influenced me as the younger Gabby as well.
I can see that.
Because like her character, this personally, and just the way she literally, because I've actually been on set. I remember once I stayed on set to, really look at her, and how she did certain things. Because we never, but I did stay, when I was able to cross paths with her, I would stay and look at her. And I'm like, okay, this is her mannerisms when she's Gabby, she's Gabby.
Full in.
I mean, that. So just studying her, and looking and being, when I did have the opportunity to see her on set, to just watch her, and how she spoke, and just knowing that even though I was like, I don't want to be exactly what she is, just because the trauma and everything made her that.
Exactly.
And I'm showing within that trauma and then before that trauma, if that makes sense.
Oh,
so
totally.
Kind of distinction, and then the in between is what hopefully we get to see in season 2. But yeah.
I love that though, because like it's interesting, and I just literally put this together during this conversation while you're speaking. Last week we had kind of a similar situation too, where the actor that we interviewed was playing the younger version of an older character, and it was kind of like time jumping back and forth. So that's funny. These are both your guests, Dustin. How are you scheduling all of these? That's so funny.
I have this fascination with,
with these two different types of characters.
All right, I'm just going to reveal it here. I am a time traveler. I do go back and forth, and, so I like to talk to both timelines. It's just, that's as we've discussed, though, there can be only one. So I'm gonna, at the end of this interview, I have to pull out the sword and chop the heads off, guys. I'm sorry.
It's true. It's true. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny to be able to do that, because there's your time, and then there is her time, and then you have to think about all the years in between both of y'all's characters that gives the room for development, that gives the room for growing up into like a hardened individual who, spoiler alert, if you haven't started watching it, where are you? But who ends up actually kidnapping her kidnapper. Absolutely freaking wild. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to be able to work with legends too, right? Because not only Shanola Hampton, but I got to tell you, literally growing up, every single morning before school, I was watching Saved by the Bell.
Who wasn't, man? Who wasn't?
So to work with Mark Paul Gosselaar is absolutely wild. Zach, for anybody who doesn't know how to correlate names, but I mean, and this being a completely different role than anything I've seen him before. So what was that like, working with someone who has been in the industry since your age or even younger, to be able to develop as an actor and as someone who can pass along pieces of advice? So what was it like working with him?
It was honestly phenomenal working with him. Like, he is so professional and he is so kind, outside of sir. It's so kind, and he was honestly like, even when there's different shots and stuff, and he was kind enough to even give me, when it's not on him, still give me that energy and what I needed to be affected the way I needed to, portray the character at the time. And it was just, like I said, it's such a blessing to me to always be able to work with such amazing people, and who are such beasts in their craft. I mean, when he was sir, when I tell y'all, his voice, when y'all saw that fear, that was real, because his voice, because of where we are and how we're actually in this kind of farmhouse, in the space, it rumbled like my heart. Like when I tell y'all, when he was Sir, he was Sir. But when he wasn't Sir, he was Papa, and he's so nice and he's so sweet.
So
and yeah.
No, that leads me to a couple of questions because I was really curious about that. One, because everybody does kind of identify him as Zach, and so when you see Sir, I mean, that is a massive credit to his acting ability because it's like you're like, holy shit, this is nowhere close to Zach. You know, this is like you are, and then he comes across terrifying. So when you just said that you were like that fear was real, let's talk about that a little bit because I feel like when you go into character like that and you're in that situation, that's a lot of detail and a lot of trauma and a lot of stuff. And a lot of people are incapable of just turning that on and turning that off. They carry that with them off set or into, real life. How did you approach that knowing that it was going to be this type of a role and you were going to be facing some seriously dark stuff? How did you adjust for that mentally, knowing that, okay, this is good, we're going to go into some really dark places and it's going to get really intense and I might get really like, oh my gosh, scared. And then I got to be able to adjust and be like, no, it's Mark Paul and I'm Azaria and everything is fine. How did you approach that, knowing going into what it was going to be?
Well, one, my coach, he prepped me, like helped, prepare me for each episode, and so he would always tell me to 30 minutes before or anything, get into that space. Mm-hmm. I used to let everybody know, that. Because they understood because it's heavy stuff, so they honestly felt bad for me because it was like, dang, like you always gotta be. But I used to tell them like, I'm probably not going to be talking as much because I'm a very lively and I'm not going to be talking as much. I'm trying to get where I need to be in that headspace and everything. And so he would always tell me, and then he'll say to keep it on your shoulder the whole 30 minutes before. Keep it on your shoulder. And so you do what you need to do, go on set, you do what you need to do. You're in that place mentally. So when they say action, you're ready. Mm-hmm. But then he said afterwards, you have to get yourself out of that. You have to take the time, you breathe, you let it go. You do what you got to do. You listen to something, you talk yourself out of that space because you don't want to keep that. Right. Because that needs to stay there. Mm-hmm. Whatever that feeling was, it needs to stay there. So he always said, keep it on your shoulder. And when you're done, when you're out of it, get it off your shoulder. Dust it off your shoulder. Mm-hmm. Get it off your shoulder. Get out of there. Get it out of that headspace. Because you don't want to keep that, because that's not what you're, going through. You don't want to project that anywhere else except for where it was supposed to be projected,
Right. Exactly. And I mean, that leads up to, something else that popped in my head. Do you have a certain routine, or do you say something to yourself that you're just like, okay, now I'm on the come down. Okay, I'm okay. I'm acting. I'm at work. That's where I'm at. So do you have a certain routine to bring yourself down from that space? Because I know it can be difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm. For me, music, like I said, I grew up on music.
There you go.
So music is honestly my key. And even before I even start, I'm a very positive person, and I prioritize my mental health so much.
Good.
And I feel like that honestly helps as well. Plus the music and just knowing I'm like, okay, yes, because I take stuff to heart. Because even with all the situations, like we're telling real life stories.
Yeah, right.
And even that itself, like somebody has gone through this before or is currently going through this, and so that itself is heavy. But I constantly have to remind myself to keep myself in afterwards, like put myself in a positive mind space, and I listen to music. I don't care what it is. And again, my favorite artist is Michael Jackson. So I'm gonna turn on some Rock With You, some Billie Jean, something, okay? And I'm so serious, just to get myself out of that funk, because it is, especially when you have to do take after take after take. Sometimes it's draining, and it can suppress you. It can take over a little bit, and so that's what I have to do. And I have to literally sometimes I shake it off, literally, it's in your body, so you gotta shake it off. And I know it can be harder, than sometimes, but
Well, Michael's good to shake it off too, right? Like, I mean, if you're gonna have a music choice to go to shake it off, Michael's good to go. I mean, that's how you do it. Yeah, and you mentioned earlier your dad played the music all the time and everything, so I'm guessing too you have a very strong support system around you to help you guide through that situation as well, right? Because that, I feel like many times that's important too. You got to have the right people in your circle. You got to have people that are going to tell you when they need to tell you something and not hold back, right?
Oh yes, that is my family 100%. Everybody, my aunties, uncle, my mom, dad, sister, brother, everybody. Like, when I tell you, I'm so grateful to have such a supportive, like, system. And I know everybody, especially in the industry, doesn't have that.
Right.
And growing up, my parents, they used to tell me, like, back in the day, like, this career wasn't a real career back then. Like, they grew up like you had to get a 9-to-5. You had to get, this wasn't that's because they didn't see that. And a lot of people, all they knew was to go to work and go to college and that's it. Okay. Yep. And so even with this, like, I'm still, in school, but even with this, like, my parents, they were 100% backing me up. 100%. Every audition, every callback, all of that, acting lessons, all that. Before I was able to pay for it myself, they was paying for it.
Love that.
My brother, my sister used to take me to practice, take me, because they literally was just like, we believe in you this much, and we want you to follow your dreams. And if this is what it is, then we're behind it. And I'm so grateful to have had that, because I know a lot of people don't, and especially in this industry, don't have that support system and people who they can rely on when the outside world kind of gets crazy or whatever. I have people who have my back regardless.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I mean, it's so interesting too, because I feel like a lot of actors, if they don't come from an industry family, like if they didn't grow up around like their family making movies or their family making TV shows, I feel like a lot of actors come from trauma, because that's what they pull out. They're able to connect with certain characters that are on the page because they went through that, or they know someone who went through that, because trauma recognizes trauma. And to be able to have that sort of support system is so critical, because I know that, some people in my life and some people in Dustin's life as well, they've said for years, get a day job. What are you doing? Why? I don't understand what you're doing, like all that stuff. But then when our film comes out and they're like, oh, you're having a red carpet premiere, am I invited? No, you're not invited. What does this look like? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you can't call it a fake job, or kind of, and then expect to show up on the carpet. It don't work like that. It's like, oh, I know them. It's like, but where were you when I was making this film? Like,
Yeah. But I mean, that's so good to hear, specifically for you, because like I feel like your future is so bright, because we always talk about, what it's kind of more about who rather than what because we've gotten into a lot of doors because of all the friends we've made through the podcast and all the friends we've made through working on different sets and different things like that. So to be able to be that lively, that bubbly, to where like people are going to want to help you out. And I feel like that is such an advantage on your side that you should just continue taking advantage of. Don't change yourself for anyone. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Because with who you are right now, I think you are going to go very far.
Oh, thank you so much.
And a testament to that is Shanola and them did a live. They went live on Instagram on the night of the finale, and as soon as Azaria popped up, she was like, oh, Azaria's on! I mean, she just lit up and talked about you. They love you. They adore you. They talk about you in such an affectionate way. And I mean, and trust us, like I said, we've seen her. We've seen her light up when she's talking and happy about something. And when you popped on, the way she lit up and made perfectly clear, Azaria is on. Everybody, look. That tells you right there. And that, like Logan said, that is because you've established yourself with the reputation of a person that people want to be with, that want to work with. Because we tell people this all the time. It really is a very small community. And people think that it's some giant, huge Hollywood, but it's a very small, tight-knit community, and everybody knows everybody. So how you project yourself gets out there, and that's who you are. And if you're that person nobody wants to work with, people quickly find out you're that person nobody wants to work with. So, you know, and so you're doing it the right way. And you're a natural. I feel like, you know, you can take lessons and you can get coached. And I've seen people become very good actors through learning the skill. But then there are also people that are just, you put them out there and they are a pure natural born to do it. And I feel like that's you. Just from every performance that I saw you, and even like I said, when I went back to P Valley, and everybody should go back and watch that as well. It's I think it was like how you said that when you first started, you just knew, you felt like you were meant to be there. That's because it is. You're so natural, it was meant to be that. And that comes across on screen. You connect to people, the audience, and that's why, like Logan said, you are going to have a very long career. You are going to be very successful. And yeah, it's amazing. I really think... Yeah, it's fun for us as filmmakers to see people like you and watch it happen. Like people that had no clue they even wanted to do this, and then boom, and it's an amazing. And we're so thankful that people who didn't know they wanted to do it, because you're like, what would he be without people like you? So it's just amazing. It really is amazing.
That means so much. Like, you don't understand. That means so much to me. Thank y'all. Saying that.
Of course.
We're all about, you know, the raising people up. This podcast is for the up and comers breaking into the entertainment industry, learn more about your story and how you did it so they can try to implement that in their lives. And, you know, after we always have conversations with our guests, we are more than open to help any way we can. Because that's what it's all about. It's all about lending the helping hand, and that's what we pride ourselves here at Crazy Ant Media for. But something else we've been doing in 2024, and I think we're gonna have fun with this one because
I think so.
You're so bubbly. I love it. We have a couple of popcorn questions for you, and hopefully you don't have to think too hard about these. But I mean, I feel like sometimes you have to. Number one, the first one is going to be: what was the funniest moment or most memorable moment on the Found set?
Okay, memorable moment. Okay, fun, memorable moment.
Well, I just want to preface that fun would be tough after everything you just said. So memorable, probably.
Okay. Well, I mean, it depends on if I was actually on set. Because remember, sometimes I would go on set just to be on set.
Okay.
I wasn't filming. I was just on there. I don't remember the moment. Oh. It was this one time when we were on set. I wasn't filming. I think it was like towards the end. It was towards the end because I just came back for the last episode, and they were playing music. It was like a dance break, and we all was just dancing. I mean, but they was playing like old school music. Like, you know, I'm an old soul. Okay, very old school. So I mean, they were playing what was it? Why can I not think of the artist? Why? Darn it. I don't know if it was It Takes Two or it was somewhere around there. Okay.
Yeah.
I do not know why, but I just remember being so happy because I felt like, you know, you were just surrounded by so many positive, like everybody on that set was just so positive and loving, and so everybody was just having a good time. So that was my most like fun moment and memorable moment, if that makes sense. Yeah, that was right there.
I love that.
Can you even picture right now in your head Mark Paul dancing to Rob Bass? It Takes Two. I can totally see that right now. I want to. If there's video of that anywhere, we need to find that and like post that, because that's.
There though, I don't think he was, because it was everybody I don't think he was there. No, I don't think so. I don't think he was there.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny.
I will remember that.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So now this is kind of a fun one. Okay. So this is like we're gonna dive into the mind a little bit of how you think. If you could live in any movie or TV show, which one would it be and why?
Oh, already, Martin.
Wow, that was quick. Quick. I love that.
Like, I want to be on some type of sitcom like Martin. want to be there. Okay. And it's just because it's so fun. Like, and they remind me, Martin and Gina reminds me, like, they're just like my parents. It's basically like I'm already living there, literally. Right. But that's why, because it's such a, it's very familiar to me. So, and it's such a fun show and such an amazing cast. And
oh yeah,
it is. Yeah. It is. I love that reunion at the Emmys. That was really cool. That was awesome. Next one would be, if you could work with anyone, who would it be?
Oh, Taraji P. Henson.
Oh man,
so good,
man.
Yeah.
You are killing it with these answers. Woo!
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yo, she's on my vision board. I'm gonna get there.
No, I
just love her. Like I haven't met her personally, but I just love her. I just her spirit, like just by her interviews and everything, and then how she's such an advocate on mental health, all that. Like I love that. I love that so much, and I love her range. Like I love her.
That's that you're gonna get there, trust me. We one of our guests just a couple of weeks ago, Callie Spraggins, she played a young cookie, so and so I'm telling you, you're gonna be there, and can I just say, if like Shanola Hampton and Taraji P, you would be like legendary at that point.
Yeah,
if you're working with both of them, we're gonna manifest that. We're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make that happen. Okay, so we know your routine to come back down. We dance to Michael Jackson. We get all that. What's the morning routine? What does Azaria do when she wakes up in the morning to get going?
Okay, it like for a set day or just my everyday routine?
Just everyday life. What's a normal morning routine for you?
Well, first of all, I get up and I pray personally, and I meditate, and basically that's the first thing I do. And then afterwards, we're in 2024, okay? 2024, new year, new me. I started working out, y'all, every morning.
Okay,
nice.
Every morning, because I told myself that I really want to prioritize my my health, not only just mentally but physically as well, and that's really something that I've been really going towards. And even in the mornings, I like to write down what I have to do that day. So after I work out, so I pray, meditate, go work out. I like to write down what I listen to the music, and I write down like what I have to do today, what I want to accomplish today, the goals for today, and then I write down my goals for the week. What am I want to accomplish at least this week? And then you have the broad one of this month, and again, just trying to balance, because I am in school as well. So that goes on that list as well. And that's honestly like, and after that, I eat eventually. Sometimes I forget. Okay, I'm working on that.
I feel you.
But and that's honestly how I start my day. I literally have a plan for my day. I plan my day out before I even started.
Logan, who does that sound like? Good. Right? Well, we could pull out our planners right now. The top of my planner says meditate, exercise, and then my list of things to do for the day. And we have the month planned out. You're so like-minded. No wonder we like you so much. You're very like-minded.
Yeah. I love it. Well, and the fifth and final question. This one's kind of deep, so be prepared. So far, are you happy with your career?
I am.
Good.
I am. I feel like it's going the way it's meant to go, and I'm so grateful. Because honestly, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Even when I first started, I didn't even think I would be here where I am today. Just because again, I was that shy, timid, little girl. I think I started about 14, 15 years old. So I can't even. Like that little girl, I know she is so proud of the woman that I am today. And just the area I'm still growing. I'm still taking lessons, my acting lessons and everything. I'm still growing, and I'm continuously going to grow. Even when I get 10 years from now, I'm still going to always dedicate myself to grow, because you can always grow. But I am very happy. I'm happy where I am, and I'm blessed to be where I am. And I'm excited to see what else is in the pot cooking up
For sure.
that I don't know about yet. And I know everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. And I know I'm going to end up where I need to be. So.
Yeah, I mean the word you keep coming back to, and I think it's why you're seeing the success that you're having and why people enjoy you and want to be around you. Gratitude. I've heard you say gratitude or grateful numerous times throughout, and it's people like that are going to get far. They're going to succeed because they're grateful for what they have. They're not bitter about what they didn't get. They're not angry about somebody else getting it. You're grateful for what you get, and you know that there's a plan, and you just go with where the plan is taking you. And that's why you're going to be a huge success because of that right there. Man, I kind of wanted to do a little Barbara Walters question. Like, what would you, if you could go back and tell your 10-year-old self something, what would you tell her? Like that little shy girl kind of what do you tell that girl? Don't worry, you're going to be Beyonce. You're going to get out there, you're going to be putting on a show.
Have faith in yourself. That's what I would tell her. And don't listen to other people. Because again, when I was younger, I was told, I'm being very vulnerable, but I was told that I was extra. And and it was in a negative way. I was extra. I was always loud, which I was loud. Okay, if you was in my high school, you heard me down the hall. But but I was everywhere. Like I was on the announcements. I was in theater in my in high school. You see my face. You did, and so many people picked at me for that. Like why are you always just everywhere? Why are you just being so extra? You so loud. You so da 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 da. And now I know why I was all of that. Obviously, as you grow up, so now I know there's a time and a place for everything when it comes to, being loud, because I was young. So of course I was loud, probably annoying a little bit. But I used to dial myself down because I'm like, you know what, I'm trying to fit in. I don't want to be, the outcast or anything. But I would tell my younger self to not be afraid of who I am and to be proud of who I am.
Yes.
And not to let anybody tell me otherwise, that I'm not worthy enough, that I am this, I am that. No, I am who God says I am. So that's what I would honestly like. And I wish, and that's one thing that I really take pride in even now, because I do speak at, or before the strike happened, I was speaking at different high schools and everything, and talking to the younger generation, even though I'm not that far along. Saying younger but just talking to them and saying that they can do this, and don't let anybody take that away from you. Like, you have these gifts for a reason. Use them. Do not let them die. And so that's what I know. But that's what I would tell. I'm very passionate about that. But that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, girl, you are her. Okay.
I love that. I love that. I mean, Logan, I can't think of any better way to start to wrap it up than that.
I really feel like that's it. I really feel like you put a nice little cherry on top of this interview milkshake. So congratulations. It was absolutely amazing. Congratulations on your success. And we all know it's about social media right now. So where can our fans follow you?
All right. So you can follow me on my YouTube channel, which is simply just Azaria. And then my Instagram is azaria.carter. So it's AZARIA dot or period. And then Carter, CARTER. And then Twitter, I believe it's just Azaria or simply just Azaria.
All right.
One of those. Okay. And that's the only. Oh yeah, and TikTok. Either simply just Azaria or just Azaria. I'm just,
everywhere. We get it.
Yeah. So.
We get it. But listen, thank you so much for coming on the show. You were an absolute blast. Open invite. Anytime you ever want to come back on, just to, have a conversation about the industry. We have an industry news segment. We have a top 5 segment where we talk about like top 5 movies of certain categories and things like that. So yeah, and the mental health one. You're very in tune with your mental health. So feel free to come back on that one as well. But Azaria, thank you so much again. And I mean, this is going to be an amazing career for you, and we're super excited about it.
Thank you so much, and thank you both for having me. Like, this was fun, y'all. Like, this was so
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We try to make it a safe place where we can just have fun and be real. You know, and none of that Q&A. Tell us about this or blah blah blah. No, we just want to have a conversation and have some fun, and you did just that. So you are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Listen, take care, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Oh boy, talk about personality right there, man. The biggest personality of 2024 on the show so far.
And the biggest smile on the show of 2024 so far. That smile's infectious. I mentioned it in the interview, though, and the one thing that I just kept coming back to me over and over and over is just how grateful she is for everything that she has and where she's at. And I just feel like people like that, the sky is the limit for people who understand how to be grateful for what is given to them and what they have. It's an amazing thing. She's an amazing young woman.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree. Everybody go check out Found Now. It is on Peacock. Be sure to check that out and be sure to follow her anywhere and everywhere on social media. And thank you again, Azaria, for coming on the show.